Alright, welcome back again. Fred here. Today I'm gonna talk about my favorite all-time autobiography, which is What It Takes from Stephen A. Schwarzman. It is an absolute amazing book, and I really want to talk about this book for a long time. I actually read it in 2019 when I was in Los Angeles for the first time as an exchange student. It was one of the first books in the first year that I did a reading challenge, actually. I never really read an autobiography before, and it was the first one basically, and it was the best one that I've read until now. First of all, that's probably also because this man, Stephen A. Schwarzman, is basically in the same industry where I want to work as well, and he started his own company after a while, which is also something that I'm inspiring to do. So this book was crazy. I also gave it to some other people to see if they liked it, and some people just really didn't like it. That could be because Stephen A. Schwarzman, he doesn't just describe, his thought process of why he did certain things, what he did, but he also puts a lot of emphasis on how amazing he is. He also says like, oh, and I changed this, and I changed that, and look at me, blah, blah, blah. That's one way you can look at it. To me, if you look past that, you can see how much he actually talks about not being successful, about making a lot of mistakes when he was younger. And the moment you also take that into account, you're like, okay, well, yeah, he talks about how amazing he is sometimes and how much money he has donated and everything. But at the same time, he also talks about his mistakes, what he did not do well, how certain things completely did not go as he expected, and that makes it so amazing to me. It's a little bit about the same as I said about the autobiography from Arnold Schwarzenegger. I really think that Arnold Schwarzenegger also did a great job of, he said how amazing he is in some ways as well, but he also says how he fucked up. He also really explains that, and Stephen A. Schwarzman is exactly the same. First of all, the things that really stuck with me, he always said the same actually as Arnold Schwarzenegger. He said, if you want to do something, do it big, because if you do something small or something big, it's gonna take this exact same amount of time, it's gonna take the exact same amount of effort to do something. If you shoot for something, do it big, because it's gonna take the same amount of time and effort anyway, so then just go for it. He also talks a lot about how to manage a business, what kind of people to look for, which is very interesting to me. He really applied the principle of A people, hire A people, B people, hire C people. That's exactly what he describes, and it's also what he explains on a first-hand basis. So he also explained that when he started his own company, it was so hard to look for people because he did not want to hire B people, because he knew that B grade people would only hire people who were not as great as them, and he only wanted A grade people in his company because he was firm believer that if you are really good at something, you will only hire other people who are also really good at something. Only people who are insecure about themselves and are not working 100%, they're the only people who would want to hire people who do less than them, because they don't want to be overthrown themselves. That's basically the philosophy behind this. Something else that he really well describes is, for example, when he was in a financial analysis job function of a big bank, and he had to prepare some PowerPoints. Right back then it was still on paper. One number was not right in the whole 50 sheets that he had, and the partner saw that, and he had to do everything over again, print everything over again, do everything over again, because it wasn't right, and he literally got his ass kicked by the partners. He then later also describes that when he started his own company, he was a firm believer that a lot of people respected him and would also want to invest in his new company. He had a private equity company that he started himself. It's actually called Blackstone. You might have heard about it. It's actually one of the biggest PE firms right now. One of the biggest, not the biggest anymore. He describes how he sent out 250 letters to people who said that they wanted to invest in him, and actually only 2 people showed up. So out of 250 people who said they would support him, only 2 did. And to me, that's again a realization point of, yes, you always keep it in your mind that people might not always follow up on what they say, but this is a first-hand account of when you are going to start your own business. People can say whatever they want, but in the end, most of them will not support you, and that's fine. But you gotta get through that. Don't get discouraged by this great amount of people, by this 248 who said no out of 250. You have to keep moving anyway. I think that's kind of important to realize, and for me it's very reaffirming to read about these kind of stories, because most people, when they're successful, they will never mention stuff like this, or they will mention it as a joke, but he very seriously talks about it and explains how he reacted to it, what he did, and how he tried to move on anyway. I think that there's a lot of inspiration coming from these type of books where people don't just say what they did and you get inspired by it. For me, the best autobiography is an autobiography from all the mistakes someone made and how they dealt with it. That's way more inspiring to me than someone who just explains how great he is and how he always found a way. You understand what I'm saying? I think that's just so great about this book. I'll just grab it for a second, because what he also did is, maybe you think that's cringe or not, but here in the end, he has a list. Here, but it's the 25 rules for work and life. And the first one is, as I already said, it's as easy to do something big as it is to do something small. So reach for a fantasy worth your pursuit with rewards to commensurate to your effort. Well, there are 24 more of these tips, and you can say they're cringe if you just read them, but he also put it at the end of the book. So after you've read this book, after you've seen everything he has done, then these 25 rules make so much sense. I've never seen this book on any kind of charts, and I wonder why, because as I said, I think it's my favorite. So I really hope that, by lightening it here, to promote it here, I really hope that more people read this book, because I really think this is a hidden gem. And if you read through all the things that he says that are great about him, I think there's a lot to say, about what he does and how he dealt with all his failures. So I really hope that you enjoyed this book review. It was so much fun to make this one because it's one of my favorite books of all time. Let me know what you think about it, and please let me know if you want to read it as well, because I think it's an absolute amazing book, and everyone, especially in business, should read this book because there's so much knowledge in here. It's so interesting to read all the stories that he talked about, and I really think everyone can enjoy this book. At least give it a shot. That's all I'm asking. Alright, first of all, please like and subscribe, leave a comment. What did you think about the video? What do you think about the book? Let me know if you want to read it as well. What kind of books do you want me to read? Let it all know. Please also follow me on Goodreads if you haven't done so already. And as always, stay positive, be happy. Fred out.